About me as a person, it's very difficult to describe me. I don't think I've ever had to do that before. I enjoy life, and anything it throws at me, I'll try. When I make a friend, they're like gold to me. I'm very exacting, but I'm just thankful it's when I'm trying to do some good. Because I would imagine that if I was trying to do some harm, Rottweiler isn't the word. I just don't give in.
I don't know. I would say that I'm probably quite a laid-back person, yet quite outgoing. I quite like socialising and talking to people. Some of my friends might say I suffer from verbal diarrhoea quite a lot, because if there's a silence in the room, I'll probably be the one to break it.
Someone said to me the other day that I'm a very happy person and I've made a difference to their life.
Hello.
And he said I was like a snowdrop coming out the ice. And to see that beautiful snowdrop, he said it cheered his heart. Then he referred to me as a firefly because he can never find me. He said, and you go to touch this beautiful firefly and she's gone again. She just flies off. He said, because everybody wants you because you're a firefly. And they want to warm their hands on the heat of your soul, he said. And he said, nobody can ever catch you. It was an older man, of course, you know.
A Model Conversation is an oral history project. We're interviewing 20 people with various physical disabilities or long-term health conditions about their life stories from when they were born right up until the present day. One of the main aims of the project is to see how things have changed for people with disabilities or with health conditions as society has moved from the medical model of disability to the social model of disability. And briefly, the medical model was something that was prevalent up until the 1970s, the 1980s, which said basically that if you have a disability, there is something wrong with you that medicine will treat or cure. And what the social model says, and the social model is what we believe in here at the Cambridge Alliance for Independent Living, is that there is nothing wrong with the person, there is something wrong with society, and that if society can adapt, then there is no reason why somebody living with a disability can live a totally full and comprehensive life. The project is called the Model Conversation because we think that this is a subject that needs to be spoken about much more. I think that generally most people who do not have a disability are generally well-meaning, but there is a sense of almost embarrassment when it comes to engaging with people with disabilities. The idea of talking to the carer rather than the person with the disability. There's also a sense of not really knowing how to approach people, which I think can only really be broken down by dialogue. And that's partly what we're trying to address in this project. By asking people about their lives at great depth, and not just about their disability or health condition, we're getting a view of the whole person as a person, with the disability being only secondary. And I think that if we can get that concept out there and let people know that it's just about engagement, then we would be doing a lot to improve things, both for people with disabilities and society as a whole. Creating dialogue is never bad, and that's really how you solve every problem by the end of it.
My name's Audrey, Mrs. Audrey Brown. I'm still Mrs. I'm married a wonderful man, my late husband. I absolutely adored him, and he did me. We were soulmates. I've got 2 sons who I'm really proud of. I suppose my passions are life. I will try anything. Some people very often say to me, Audrey, you're amazing. I'm not. What is amazing about living a life? I was born perfectly formed. I reached the age of 2, and by accident I had a a thump in the shoulder blade, and it activated a tuberculosis abscess. I was put into hospital on a frame, completely fastened down, so all I could do was move my arms and my head side to side. And I was there for 5.5 years. The vertebrae were eaten away, the 3, and then they had to teach me to stand and walk, and for quite a while I had to wear a reinforced leather support, which went all the way down to the bottom of the bottom and to the top of my head, and it held me, you know, with the collar around and round my armpits and my groin. But apparently I don't remember a day of it, possibly because it traumatised me too much. But I did learn to perceive other people, and I talked and talked, and I still can't stop talking. I'm not ever wanting anybody's sympathy. That is not me. I would shrink away from that at 60 miles an hour going backwards. I've always tried to do, I'm okay, I'm normal, I'm just like anybody else. I know I'm not unrealistic in that I know there's certain things I can't do, but I don't see myself as different, so I don't act any differently. Being disabled, which is a label that people put on you that's not, it's not necessary. It doesn't mean that you can't enjoy everything that you see or do, because I really do. I've got a love of life that it's outstanding, and I think it should be for everyone.
Good afternoon, Patworth Trust. My name is Barbara Harrison, and I volunteer in various capacities. I do Saxon Gate Monday 9 till 5 or 9 till 10, whatever I'm needed, and that's admin, plus helping people with their coats that are paralysed and in the toilets, making them a drink. I'll do anything to help them. I work at Addenbrooke's Hospital, counselling amputees. I do trauma counselling, psychology. I like to do a variation because I'm the sort of person, I like to run at 100 miles an hour. Even though I can't run, I can run in my mind. And then when I drop down dead, at least I'll have had a good time. I consider myself thoroughly lucky because I took control of my disability. I was so fed up with people calling me peg leg. Then I had to beat them up or trip them up, you know. And I was getting really angry with this. I thought, whew. And I thought, I just want to look like a normal girl. So when I was 14, I decided to go have my leg amputated. So I told the doctor, to whom I was friends with, and fabulous man. And so I walked up the hospital with my case and went in and had my leg amputated. People said to me, do you go to bed in your leg? Do you wear this? I go, why? Does it worry you? I watch people come into where I work and they lower their eyes because they're embarrassed by some of the people I work with. And they all come round my desk and I make them all laugh. What am I like? What are you like? I make them happy because that's what life's about. They're people. They are normal people. They have a heart, they have blood, they live like us. Their bodies are just not the same. But that doesn't mean they don't love, they don't care, they don't cry. And we should be treating everyone the same. And by doing that, we will make them realise that they can do more for themselves than they can.
Thank you for your help, Barbara. I'd appreciate it.
That's all right. Any time, young man. They help me. Because if I didn't do what I do, what would I do? Nothing. I'd be nobody. So what I do makes me feel better. By helping people, I get a lot out of it. It makes me a person. Else I'd be nobody. And I love the fame.
I guess people would say I'm a positive person. I guess most people would say that. I'm enjoying life most days. Cambridge is a town I love, and I think there's a lot of people here that I get on with really well because of the kind of values Cambridge has and the kind of values I have, I suppose. Your cerebral guardian reading types around here more than average, and and that's me as well. So I find, it's easy to make friends here. Yeah, that's probably the most important thing about my life, really, is my friends. And I feel very lucky to have so many really good friends. Yeah, I really do. My best friend was here a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "How would I sum you up in 2 words, Mark?" And he said, "Crippled faggot." Talking about political correctness, yeah. But when I was diagnosed with MS, I was doing a master's degree. I was in Canada. Oh, I had an appalling time in Canada with doctors, appalling. And the neurologist I saw said, "I want you to go to a clinic and have a test." I said, "Can you tell me what you think might be wrong with me?" And he said, "No, I don't want to say anything. Yeah, I just want you to go to this clinic." And over the sign it said, "Multiple sclerosis clinic." And that was the first that was how I found out that I might have MS when I was 26. So it was just unbelievable. Yeah. I think I didn't want to accept it myself that I had MS, and I think I genuinely believed that MS was something that I could make go away if I handled it properly. My experience in the last 10 years has been a lot better. I've got an excellent GP here. I had a good neurologist who's unfortunately moved. I don't know whether that's just things have got better in the last 10 years, or if I'm back in England, if I'm less paranoid. I remember when I was in hospital when I was really depressed in 2001, just being really frightened of the doctors and saying to one physiotherapist that I trust you, which is quite, you deconstruct that statement, it shows you how I felt about everybody else, doesn't it? Generally speaking, I find with the general public, people are extremely kind, helpful, obliging. It is one of the bizarre upsides of being a disabled person is you get to see the best of people most of the time.
I'm Warren Wilson, and I'm 25 and live in Ely. And I guess I'm quite tolerant of a lot of different things. I'm quite easygoing, but then at the same time I like going out and doing things. I like going across the country, travelling a lot, and I like going to a lot of gigs, say music gigs, and I like going to the theatre and going to the cinema. I quite like going to watch a lot of stand-up comedy. Yeah, I guess I've got quite a few different varied interests. I could be quite introspective sometimes. I could probably think about things perhaps quite deeply sometimes. On the whole, I would say quite a cheery person. I enjoy a laugh, but then I really love art that's made by really sort of melancholy souls. The first time I became aware that I guess my sight was deteriorating was around about the time of my 19th birthday. And that was the first time I was told that I could go blind. And that moment was really difficult to take in. I guess the conclusion I came to was that, I don't know, it's very cheesy, but I guess life is very precious. And I think from that point onwards, I realised that it's best to look forwards and cherish everything there is about what you've got, whether it's a sunny day or whether it's even the sound of the rain hitting the windows or this, that, the other. It's very idealistic and airy-fairy and dreamy, but I guess it's what helped me very quickly move on emotionally. I remember at the hospital there's someone, I'm not sure the official title of her position, but she's an eyesight liaison officer or something like this. And she was able to help with, I guess, the next steps, what you do next. And she was able to help me with a lot of the really boring bureaucratic stuff, like applying for benefits that you're entitled to. She was also able to put me in touch with the local charity for the blind campsite, where I was able to learn to use a computer, again, learn to touch type, use screen reading software. And I even surprised myself how quickly I managed to seem to get to grips with that. I started working for CAMSite after I'd finished university. I'm a fundraiser there, and the role really encompasses a lot more than that. The job title is fundraising ambassador, and I do talks in schools and do talks to different companies, different, say, social groups like the National Citizenship Service. I would say a lot of people struggle to imagine someone with a visual impairment maybe having quite a pleasant life, just living like everyone else. I guess if in any way I would like to make a difference, no matter how large or small, I guess I'd like to think that explaining to people what my experience of sight loss is like and how I feel living with a visual impairment is, hopefully that will improve the way society views visually impaired people.
I go out quite a lot. While ever I can get about on my scooter, which I desperately need now. I don't want to be on my own. That's probably why I go out so much. I do go quite often. I'm like most women, I like shopping for clothing. And of course I love to go to the theatre in the evening. But that hasn't been so easy. It's all this thing about being independent. I just will not give up. Right, here we are. And shopping generally, I tend to take the long way round. If you're on a busy shopping day, I will get out the way, but most people don't even see me sometimes. I've had people walking towards me and I've stopped because I can't go either way due to public around me. And I've had them nearly sit on me because they've got the mobile on, or they're just not concentrating. You see, I relate mine to somebody who's got like a pushchair, if you've got a child in it. It's not that, we shouldn't be regarded as a problem because it's a normal thing. And I'm certainly not going to give up shopping because, well, I think that'd be the end of me, truly. Some shops are totally inaccessible. And I just think, well, your loss, because I've got to the point in life where I can afford certain things now and I'll go and spend my money elsewhere. I started going to the Arts Theatre when I first moved to Cambridge, and the Arts Theatre, in my experience, having been to theatres up and down the country, is one of the easiest to access. But I went along for a couple of years or so without a problem. And one night I went, and a lady came across from the theatre, and she then explained that apparently an elderly gentleman had purchased a very large scooter. He apparently lost control of this thing and hit the back of a seat, which the lady sat in the seat had been in the hospital recently, and it caused a scene. So the policy was changed, and they were then telling me I would no longer be allowed to go in with my scooter. I said to her, I understand your problem, but how does that include me? I haven't done anything. So the unfairness of it was terrible. So we're at the point where we're in consultation, and I'm hopeful. I want to come back without any unpleasantness. But I said, trust me, if this doesn't work, I won't give up. I truly won't give up. I don't care who I speak to, I've even rung the government departments on communications before, and they've said, yes, they are breaking the law, but unless you do this, this and this, and then you go to law, it's a nonsense. Why should the law be accessible to some and not to others? And in that instance, that's where I say to you about the disabilities and things that have changed. In a way, they're still the same. Because people can write laws and they can make rules and regulations. But people with money and people with minds good enough to do it, they will sideline that. And they still do.
My mum used to go to charity shops and and buy clothes off market stalls cheap because she couldn't afford to buy us clothes, and she'd cut them all down and make us beautiful dresses. She'd get old jumpers, unravel them, and she'd knit without a pattern, and she was partially sighted, my mother, and I used to watch her and then I helped her, and I used to do that. I was born in Northern Ireland and I lived in Cady. When I was born they said I was going to die. And in those days they left you in a cot overnight. If you survived to the morning they would help you. If you didn't, then you were dead. I weighed 5 pounds and I was severely disabled in their eyes in Northern Ireland, and they hadn't seen disabilities like mine before. It was congenital deformities, and they were not sure how it all happened because in 1950 they didn't know about things like that. They didn't think I'd ever be able to walk or survive or do anything for myself, so basically I was a waste of space. Oh, because I was alive in the morning, they decided to feed me, and then eventually they let Mum take me home, but they kept saying to Mum, oh, she'll never walk, ever, and my mum said, no, I don't have failures, ever. You see, when I got married 44 years ago, I waited 4.5 years to have children because I went to see 2 genetic counsellors because I wasn't sure if it was hereditary, because I didn't want to have children and if they were going to be deformed, because they could have been worse than I was. Well, one, it was a congenital deformity, and also my mother tried to abort me. What happened was she was pregnant in 1950. She wasn't married. My father's family were Catholics and she was a Jewish lady, my mother, and he was a Catholic. It was horrendous. So she didn't want me, so she tried to abort me, and that's why my deformities were bad. But it didn't work. She took gin and all that lot like they did in those days, and laxative pills which were supposed to make your bowel work and make you abort and all that, but it didn't work. So, but I never told her I knew, never, because I didn't want to hurt her. But it meant that I could have children and that they wouldn't be born deformed. So I decided to have my daughter, and then 3 years later I had my son, and they were perfectly normal, naughty like children are. But I loved them to bits, you know. That's what's going to happen now. We're going to have more and more people with disabilities because of society. When they're getting old, they will all have some form of a disability. And that's why we have to accept it and get on with it. Pull our finger out and sort it. Not sit around and going, that's not going to happen. Rose-coloured glasses off. And accept it and get on with it and help each other. That's the only way.
If the first question people ask me is, why are you in a wheelchair? That rubs me the wrong way.
The way you feel about your lot in life can fluctuate. There are many things about my life that I enjoy, and there are some things about my life that piss me off, and there are some things about my life that I don't want to think about very much because they just make me very sad. In general, I'm enjoying life, and I'm enjoying being alive and all the things that every day affords as an experience, I suppose.
The way I feel about music itself, I mean, my relationship to it has had to change because of physical limitations. I don't allow myself to think about it in depth much because it's just, I can't look it in the face really. You know, if you said to me you can walk again or you can play the piano again, it would be a no-brainer. You know, there would be no question about that. You know, no hesitation.
I love my job. Just a wonderful opportunity to relate one-on-one to a child and get them motivated, get them enjoying what they're doing, connecting with the music. It's fantastic.
Enjoy the music, I enjoy my teaching, and conducting a choir is something I love doing.
I just get so much enjoyment and satisfaction from music.
My biggest interest and biggest hobby is the Paralympic sport goalball. I love that sport so much. You put shades over your eyes and you throw this ball from one end to the other.
Well, I think my favourite thing about goalball is probably the social side of it. It's quite welcoming, quite friendly. Teaching the kids, that's fantastic. With some of the kids, it's just a case of just showing them that they can achieve. They can play sport, they can do something really well. A few people come along as players who are fully sighted. I might go into the primary school and do a golden taster session or something like that and show, well look, sport can be completely inclusive, but this is how it's done.
We met in a mutual friend's flat in South London. It was through this organised trip by this charity called Victor, which supports people, visually impaired people 29 and under, and the trip they'd organised was this trip to Sicily.
We met on that holiday and then we kept in touch after that because we've got a lot of mutual friends, so we kept meeting up with like parties and other people's houses and things.
I don't know, like you certainly make me laugh a lot, and I like to think I do the same. Personally, I don't really like to plan that much for the future. Just take each day as it comes, see how things go. Hopefully, if I had one plan for the future, it'd be to continue being happy. I'd like to continue being happy together, I guess.
I think we're both quite independent people, and like independence is important to both of us. Someone asked me the other day what the worst thing about being blind was, and the only thing I could really think of was other people's attitudes, because I really think that that's the biggest disabling thing, because there's all kinds of technology now that can assist you with your daily life if you're visually impaired, and with other disabilities as well. There's all kind of adaptations that could be made, but it's people's attitudes and people's decisions that affect your life and how accessible stuff is and how successful your life is a lot of the time. Like someone's attitude towards you just in the street, or someone high up deciding what kind of education you get if you're a disabled child, or there's all sorts of examples. So I think the social model is more relevant in terms of people's attitudes and society's attitudes towards disability having a much bigger impact on your life sometimes than your actual physical disability.
Do you think things have changed in your lifetime though? Because you've lived with disability for...
Oh, thank you for that compliment. I know I'm the oldest, but there you go.
well, for longer than I have, I would imagine.
Probably, yes. Lived is the word.
Right, okay.
Lived.
And has
have things changed in your lifetime?
Not really.
Have they not?
No.
Okay.
Some things have changed for the better, but I find personally that it's people that change things, and people's attitude hasn't changed.
I don't recognise the picture you paint of the world, to be honest.
What's your picture of the world?
I think most people I encounter most of the time treat me as a gay person, as a disabled person, pretty well. And they're eager to help, and if I'm going down the street, people move out of my way.
You knock them over if they don't.
Yeah.
And you will face discrimination.
You do.
It's probably people's uneducated attitude.
Yeah. It's fear, a lot of it as well.
I sometimes don't think it's necessarily intentionally malicious.
No, it's not.
It's quite a subconscious thing,
They're
I think.
frightened of not
Yeah.
knowing how to treat you.
Mm.
A lot of it is fear.
Mm.
It is.
But the only things that do antagonise me is the fact that when I've had a conversation with someone, and then they still regard me as subnormal and talk to my friend and want her to pay for the bill. Well,
You should
go
have
ahead.
let her,
Yeah.
I took it home.
I've had it before where someone's decided to speak to my friend instead of me.
Yes.
And
this is what-
and the reason why I did that is because I had my cane out and she didn't. She was blind as well. I don't know, I think for a start, I think a more positive portrayal of disabled people in media and popular culture, all these sorts of things. I think even the charities that are sometimes there to represent and be there to support disabled people are guilty of putting across an image of disabled people for, say, fundraising purposes. Maybe a sob story or something like that, something that's really awful, someone crying because they've recently become disabled or because their life's really hard.
And I fully agree with what it's
We
exactly
don't
what we
want
say.
sympathy or pity.
It's
we
a
want
it's
to
a
be
media
treated
thing.
like
though.
normal, like everybody else.
Yeah.
Because
But
we
it's a-
are.
Yeah, but it's a media
We
thing.
are.
The media have got control,
Yes.
and if they want to portray us as lost causes and sad, that's what we'll get.
You could see a person with a disability in the media who was there because they had some other identity,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
Don't
because
identify me by my disability.
because they were doing this particular job, or because they, rather than they were there because they were disabled.
And the other thing is, there's 4 of us here, and I've not met a more positive attitude in a long time. I'm sorry, Warren, it's just not. I'm going to say it how it is, love. You're not a bad-looking dude.
You're a good-looking lad. You are.
Exactly.
I'd say I'm pretty bad at
you're
looking
okay,
at
don't
it.
worry. We're not pulling you, so you're safe. You're all right. We're too old and knackered, so you're okay.
Excuse me.
Don't you start. Audrey's no, she's on the pull. I'm not on this.